My path to becoming a cult awareness activist didn't begin with academic interest or philosophical conviction. It began with human suffering. Like many who are active and work in this field, I witnessed firsthand the devastating impact that high control religious groups can have on individuals, families, and entire communities. My name doesn't matter. What matters is why I'm here and why I do this. What matters is the 8 million people trapped in Jehovah's Witnesses and others like them that call themselves religions but operate like prisons. What matters are the children who may die tonight because their parents have been convinced that accepting a blood transfusion is worse than death. What matters are the families torn apart by policies designed to punish anyone who dares to think for themselves. I am here because silence is complicity. I am here because somewhere right now, a child is being told that asking questions makes them spiritually weak. A teenager was denied education because the end of the world was supposedly coming. A mother is being forced to choose between her faith and her daughter. A father is watching his son die rather than authorize the medical treatment that could save him. This is not religious freedom. This is philosophical terrorism wrapped in scripture and protected by laws. We have allowed these organizations to hide behind the sacred principle of religious liberty while they systematically destroy lives. We have been told that questioning their practices is persecution, that exposing their methods is bigotry. What I say to you is there is nothing sacred about child abuse. There's nothing holy about breaking up families. There's nothing divine about covering up crimes. And I want you to understand something. The Jehovah's Witnesses maintain a database of accused child molesters. That's not a religion. That's a criminal enterprise operating under the protection of religious freedom laws. They have a policy that requires 2 witnesses before they will believe a child has been sexually abused. 2 witnesses. As if pedophiles abuse children in front of an audience. As if the trauma of one child isn't enough. This policy has allowed thousands of predators to remain in positions of trust with continued access to new victims. And when brave survivors come forward, when they find the courage to speak their truth, what happens? They are shunned. They are cast out, treated as if they never existed. Their own families are commanded to cut them off completely. Their own mothers and fathers are told that loving their child is an act of rebellion against God. This is not love. This is not spirituality. This is control. This is abuse. This is psychological warfare. But the Jehovah's Witnesses are not alone. Scientology bankrupts its members while claiming to free their minds. Polygamous Mormon sects marry off children to old men and call it holy matrimony. New Age cults promise enlightenment while delivering exploitation. The faces change, the methods vary, but the pattern is always the same. Absolute control disguised as absolute truth. These organizations are masters of manipulation. They don't recruit by showing you their worst practices. They love bomb you. They make you feel special, chosen, part of something bigger than yourself. They give you community when you are lonely, answers when you are confused, and purpose when you are lost. And then, gradually, they take away everything. They isolate you from anyone who might offer a different perspective. They make you dependent on them for your identity, your relationships, your very sense of reality. They teach you not to trust your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own moral compass. They become the filter through which you see the world, and that filter is designed to keep you trapped. They create a climate of fear, so pervasive that members police their own thoughts. They make leaving so painful through shunning, through threats of divine punishment, through the loss of everything you hold dear, that staying becomes the only option, even when staying means watching your children suffer, even when staying means denying your own humanity. This is what we're fighting against. Not faith, not spirituality, not the genuine search for meaning and transcendence that drives human beings forward. We are fighting against the systematic perversion of those natural human needs for power and control. Some will say we are attacking religious freedom. Some will accuse us of persecution. But I ask you, what kind of religion needs to threaten its members to keep them? What kind of faith cannot survive honest questions? What kind of God requires the suffering of children to prove devotion? The freedom to practice religion must include the freedom to leave religion. It must include the right to question, to doubt, to change your mind. It must include protection for children, those who cannot consent to the destruction of their education, their health, and their future. When a religious organization violates these basic human rights, it forfeits any claim to protection under religious freedom laws. When churches become cults, when faith becomes exploitation, when salvation becomes slavery, that is when we must act. Our voices matter. Every survivor who speaks out chips away at the wall of silence these organizations have built. Every family member who refuses to shun their loved ones weakens their control. Every activist who stands up and says enough adds to the chorus that will ultimately bring change. And the internet has given us tools these organizations never expected us to have. Their internal documents leak, their policies are exposed, their contradictions are documented. Their abuse victims find each other and realize they are not alone, they are not crazy, they are not at fault. And we are part of that generation that will end the silence. We are the ones who will say that no organization, no matter how ancient its traditions or sacred its texts, has the right to destroy human lives. We are the ones who will stand between the predators and their victims, between the controllers and their targets, and between the institutions and their human sacrifices. This work is not easy. These organizations fight back. They sue us, they stalk us, they try to destroy our reputations and our livelihoods. They have money, they have lawyers, they have the presumption of respectability that comes with religious status. Activists work to strengthen laws protecting children from religious abuse, improve oversight of religious organizations, financial practices, and ensure that religious freedom protections don't become shields of criminal activity. Legal challenges to harmful practices have resulted in important precedents, such as court orders requiring religious organizations to report child abuse and allowing former members to pursue civil remedies for damages they suffered while in these groups. The landscape of high-control religious groups continues to evolve with changes in technology, society, and law. Social media has created new opportunities for both recruitment and escape, allowing groups to reach vulnerable people more effectively, while also providing platforms for survivors to share their stories and connect with support networks. The rise of conspiracy theories, political extremism, and wellness cults demonstrates that psychological techniques used by traditional religious cults are being adapted for new contexts. This makes cult awareness education more important than ever, as the general public needs to understand how these manipulation techniques work regardless of the specific ideological content. Legal reforms in various countries are slowly beginning to address some of the most egregious abuses, but progress is often slow and incomplete. Continued advocacy is necessary to ensure that religious freedom protections don't become loopholes that allow abuse to continue unchecked. The emotional toll is also significant. Working closely with survivors of psychological abuse, reading accounts of child sexual abuse cover-ups, and witnessing the destruction of families takes a heavy psychological toll. Many activists struggle with burnout, secondary trauma, and the sense of fighting an overwhelming system. But we have something they cannot touch. We have the truth. We have the testimonies of thousands of survivors. We have their own documents leaked by brave insiders. We have court cases won, policies changed, children saved. We have families reunited, and lives rebuilt. We have the growing awareness of a public that is finally beginning to understand the difference between healthy faith and toxic control. And if you are watching this and you are trapped in one of these groups, know that you are not alone. There are people who understand what you're going through. There are resources to help you leave. There is life beyond the organization that claims to be your life. If you are a family member of someone in a high control group, do not give up hope. Keep the door open. Keep showing love. The mind control is not permanent. People do wake up. People do leave. And families are reunited. If you are someone who simply cares about human rights, about child protection, about religious freedom, properly understood, then you have a role to play. Share information, support survivors, donate to organizations doing this work. Contact lawmakers, demand accountability. The children dying tonight because of the blood doctrine cannot wait for gradual reform. The abused children being denied justice cannot wait for these organizations to evolve. The abuse survivors being shunned by their families cannot wait for society to slowly wake up. They need us to act now. They need us to speak now. They need us to fight now. I am one voice among many, but I will not be silenced. We are a growing movement and we will not be stopped. We represent the conscience of society that has finally decided that religious freedom cannot be a license for abuse. The organizations I have named today know who they are. They know what they have done. They know that their time of operating in the shadows is ending. The light of truth is shining on their practices, and no amount of religious rhetoric can hide the suffering they cause. To those organizations, I say this: reform or be reformed. Protect children or lose your protection. Respect human rights or face the consequences. And to everyone else, I say, the choice is ours. We can allow this abuse to continue in the name of religious tolerance, or we can demand that religious freedom mean freedom from coercion, manipulation, and control. We can choose silence, or we can choose to speak. We can choose complicity, or we can choose courage. We can choose to look away, or we can choose to act. I have made my choice. The question is, what will you choose? The victims are waiting for your answer. History is waiting for your answer. The future is waiting for your answer.